vast majority of the visible matter in the universe is in a plasma state. A plasma is essentially a gas that's so hot that the electrons are separate from the atoms, and we have a collection of charged particles that behaves in ways very different to other types of matter. My research is about understanding how the variety of space plasmas behave and how they impact their astrophysical environments. There are two main reasons why we do this research. Firstly, just out of pure curiosity about understanding how the universe behaves, but there are also some direct impacts, for example, in understanding space weather and protecting us from its potentially harmful impacts. Our primary method to understand space plasmas is through analyzing data from the range of spacecraft that we have throughout the solar system. There's a spacecraft called NASA Parker Solar Probe, which is currently flying through the solar atmosphere, taking pretty detailed measurements. And we analyze this data to understand how these plasmas behave. We've analyzed this data and been able to identify one of the mechanisms by which this plasma is energized, which is an interaction between the electromagnetic fields and the particles out there in the solar wind. One thing we've been able to identify with the Parker Solar Probe spacecraft is we've been able to connect the plasma measured at the spacecraft location to where it came from on the sun, so we can understand the different types of solar wind, how they're formed, and the differences between the different types. The solar wind has a variety of effects throughout the solar system and can impact us here on Earth. For example, it can have damaging effects to the technological infrastructure in our society, but it can also have positive effects like generating the aurora, the northern lights. The work we do is about understanding the fundamental nature of how these plasmas behave, enabling us eventually to be able to predict that behavior so that can be used, for example, in space weather forecasts, so companies can take the necessary procedures to mitigate from their harmful effects. Companies such as airline operators, electrical grid operators.